Welcome to the Gransberry Chronicles Big Game Edition. That's right. It's the last pick'em of the 2021 season. It's the greatest show on turf. That's right. It's time to pick our game choice winner for the last game of the season. Kind of sad about it. As you know, the NFL went to 18 weeks, which now brings it into Valentine's weekend, which I don't think everybody's too happy about. But before we go
That-
there,
But that's your love. That's your love.
it's
That's your Valentine
right.
every year, right?
And let's make sure we give my boys props. We got D Jones with us tonight, as always. And shout out still to our boy coach. He went to the HBCU night at the Rockets game. And I mean, what better thing to do when being a PV alum? So we want to thank him for going out there tonight. I am on location. I am in my hotel room. I am in LA. That's right. I am in Inglewood, actually, where they plan to play that game on Sunday that will bring tears to my eyes in all kinds of ways. Because when that game is over, my boyfriend and I will be breaking up. Such an interesting time to break up, with the next day being Valentine's Day. And usually I have a week to get myself together, but this time it'll be kind of instantaneous for your girl. So I wonder how this is going to play out because, ladies, I'm biased. I would say, hey, celebrate Valentine's Day, during the week or the weekend before, because your guy's really going to understand if you let him have this moment on Sunday with the game, or, big parties, don't start canceling those parties because you want to have, like, we time. You can have we time another time, right, D Jones?
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. You don't need no date. But I'm 20 years in the game though. So so it's a little different. You know what I mean? If you fresh on your relationship, you got a decision to make. But if you've been in your relationship a couple of years, you know your partner. That V day is just a day. So you gotta share it. You gotta share it some kind of way. Get the
Yeah,
date in Saturday.
I would agree. I would agree. So let's talk about some interesting things, before we get to this game pick. And going back to championship Sunday, I was delighted with the opportunity to be able to attend the NFC championship game, and having no dog in the fight made it such an excellent time to be a football fan. At this time of year, that's usually where we are, right? If you're not in the final four teams on championship Sunday, you're only watching because you're a fan of the
You're a
game.
fan. Yeah.
And you guys called it. So, Coach and D Jones, you were 100% correct. When the playoff season started, you guys said you're going to catch one game. The way you acting, your energy, you are most likely going to attend one game. That became a reality. The fun fact and confusing fact was I was I was at home, well, not home, but at a friend's house. And we were watching the first game, the AFC championship game. And it was so good. My concern was, when do I get in the Uber to go over to the NFC game? So obviously I had to make a tough decision. Like, okay, first I was like, I'll leave at halftime. Then I was like, I'll leave third quarter. I literally didn't leave till fourth quarter. And I
Yeah.
was in the Uber, watching the game and getting a little excited. The lady driving me was like, "What's going on?" And I'm telling her, and I'm like trying to stay in the moment. And so when I get to the stadium, because I was staying very close, so it took like hardly no time to get there. It literally took about less than 10 minutes. So I get there and I'm like watching on my phone and I'm going up the sidewalk and I can hear all these roars, right? It's the fans already inside the stadium for the game. They're watching the game on
Watching
the
the AFC game.
so they're slightly ahead of me. And so my energy is like, I'm trying to focus. Then I hear a roar. And then I'm trying, like, but I don't know what the roar is for. I don't know which side they own. So that was just, it was so intense. We're trying to get in line and do everything, but still wanting to
Yeah.
watch the other game. And when we finally did, see what happened, it made sense based on, the crowd's reaction. So, I still get inside to the game, and I'm having a good time, and it's tit for tat. And I'm texting my crew during the game, talking about, when is Jimmy G gonna show up for me? And I just didn't know when. And the fun part about the game was it was a couple next to me, and they had befriended me the whole game and everything like that, and they were Rams fans. And the husband, after the last field goal by the Rams, he was about to give up. He was like, I don't think I can watch the end of this game. I don't think I'm gonna make it based on what happened to us in week 18. And I was like, get it together. Suck it up. I was like, it's less than 2 minutes left in this game, and I am not letting you get up. You are not going to leave your wife here to figure out if y'all going to win this game or not. He's like, I'm just so nervous. I was like, suck it up. Of course, I can say that because I had no dog in the fight,
You're no dog in the fight.
right. But I say that often. Shout out to the red, white, and blue crew. They know I said that in Detroit. Watch this finish. Suck it up. You don't give up. Finish your fight. So, we watching, it's getting down and getting down to the nitty gritty. And he was just like, they like holding their breath. Y'all, it was like so exciting to see all these fans like enraged, because I got 49ers fans behind me, and I got Rams fans on both sides of them, and I got one really full of liquor. And he just like, yeah, we better win. And I got one over here scared on the liquor. Okay. So it was just like I had so many dynamics coming at me at one time. And then when they finally won, like people were crying. I can't even say anything because I probably would cry too.
You would have cried.
I will.
For sure.
For sure. And I was like, I had two friends at the game that were 49ers fans that were sitting elsewhere. And I had, coordinated with them to walk me to my car. Where I was getting a ride at because of what happened to me last time when I went to Thursday night football, which is a different story and issue. But the point is, they were like, hey, where are you? Because obviously 49ers fans was ready to go when the game was over. And I was like, oh, no, I'm staying for the championship ceremony. I'm about to be Stephon Diggs up in here. I'm about to watch this whole ceremony take place. I want to feel the beat, and I was in the perfect end zone. I was in the end zone where Brandy sung the national anthem. I was in the end zone where they did the championship ceremony. So it was like, who could have picked a better opportunity, a better game? Hey, look, we understand, but go on to your NFL honors, but you still here though. So we appreciate you
No, don't say go.
Yeah. Well, he obviously doing both. And look, we want to
give he always with us anyway, so it's cool.
It's cool.
He be
so
with us.
we're gonna give a shout out to Will. Will is our only dedicated Cincinnati Bengals fan that we know from jump, and hopefully he will be in the building on Sunday. That's what we count on. Look, he's got a GoFundMe out there right now, raising money for a ticket. He is definitely going to be in LA, so let's get him in the building because he is a fire fan and he needs to see the eye of the tiger up close and in person. Even though I'm in LA, I like the NFL experience. You know me from when I went to Atlanta Super Bowl. I like to do all the other activities, concerts, things of that nature. I cannot tell you that I will necessarily be at the game. Since these are not my teams and I don't have a dog in the fight, I don't plan on clearing my checkbook for this game. But ironically enough, tickets were $8,000 on Sunday, and we're seeing them now right at about a little under $3,000. So
yeah, they dropping.
You never know. 3 days, $3,000.
Never say never.
Never say never. I mean,
never
obviously,
say
I
never.
can't. Right? I don't think anybody believes me anymore if I say that. So, Will, shout out to you, and Brandon again. Shout out to you. Hey, it is what it is. But hey, we're gonna go and go with that. Oh, Brandon says I'm going to be in the game.
He said you're gonna be in there. He said you're gonna be in there.
I am gonna go on site and like take pictures and stuff like that, but I don't know. So let's get into the game. Brandon was so prepared. He gave us a video of his pick. He gave us his reason why. But Natasha had so much going on, not the Gransberry, but Natasha, and she failed to upload his video to have it ready for tonight. So look. You're shooting your shot? Okay, you're shooting your shot. You're shooting your shot, but I'm gonna get in the game. I appreciate it. Or are you at the game shooting your shot at somebody? Let us know. But
I think he's
Anyway,
calling this shot. He might be
yeah,
calling this shot with his
he's
pick.
calling it like with his pick, right?
Yeah.
So Brandon said he's going with Cincinnati. Um, and some of his reasons were he believes that Burrow is a better quarterback than Stafford, and he believes they have some other pieces that make them a better contender overall as a team. Um, you know, if you don't watch our show often, one thing you can guarantee about Brandon, he will love to steal the show with some unique pick with some obscure reason that he created.
Taking chances.
And he'll label it taking chances, but he's stuck in an entanglement with his own left brain, right brain. They're not talking to each other at the moment. But hey, he is determined to make them. Oh, he's just said this is gonna be a field goal game. He really doing a lot. He's taking all of his ways that he picks and he's putting it into this one game. So I don't know if
Well,
that's the case.
it's only a 3.5 point spread, so I don't know if it's
Right.
saying
I
much.
mean,
It's not taking chances to call it a field goal game, especially with the last couple of weeks we've seen. So
Will, thanks for the vote of encouragement. I can't get in the game before you get in the game. So if I'm in the game, that means you must already be in the game. So that's the only way that's gonna work. But I'm not picking your team to win. Um, I do think that I do think it'll be a good game. But I do think the same weakness that you exhibited over the last two playoff games that you overcame and won is a little bit stronger of an issue for you in this matchup, and that would be that front, your front. I definitely believe this game will be won up front, and by doing that, you will see whose secondary can handle it and who will prosper. I just think that in a situation, I already had discounted the Titans even still being in the playoffs without Henry. It was just basically to me a fall of the dominoes. They won the right games when they still had them. There were enough shakeups in the AFC to not put the balance with any one team. So them being the number one seed in the AFC wasn't really a strength to me. I had already said that. I said they played a weak game in week 18. So Burrows and them overcoming turnovers against the Titans really isn't a hard thing to do because now that is one situation where he was the better quarterback. He was the better quarterback on the field, better vision, better read of the defense, better opportunity. So to me, he can overcome that. I just think as soon as you try to overcome one piece on the Rams front seven, the other piece is waiting on you. And then still, if you manage those two pieces or those three on the front, you now have to then get past Ramsey. And Ramsey's good at in-game adjustments. And so what he saw not working for the Rams, and I say him, not just coaching, when what he saw not working, and when they were giving up plays and he was frustrating him, he switched. And it doesn't mean you won't get beat every now and then, right? They had a beautiful play and scored. I'm not saying they won't score, and I expect that the point spread is correct. I think it should be that close. But I believe the prevailing party will still be um, the Rams. So, Derek?
I agree with you. I'm picking the Rams in a close game. And basically all of your points. The offensive line for Cincinnati is going to be key. I think Cincinnati. I would put Cincinnati receiving crew over the Rams secondary, even with Ramsey,
Okay.
um, because all you really have is Ramsey. Those other guys kind of feed off of him. So, and Ramsey will take chances and get beat. So I mean, you have a Jamar Chase against Ramsey. That's not really in Ramsey's favor. He's very physical with bigger receivers. The smaller, shifty, speedier receivers is where you can get him because he can get beat. So I would give the nod to the Cincinnati secondary, but that they got to give them the ball, and if they can't, if Burrow doesn't have time to throw the ball, that's going to be a problem. But I think it'll definitely be a good game because also the Rams don't run away from you, right? So they every time they seem like they have a chance to blow a team out, they pull back, and then the team is right back in the game. So I think I think the Rams in the end. we'll win this game, and I'll be excited for OBJ to be redeemed in a sense and get a ring after everybody was kind of counting him out and putting blame on him for what was going on in Cleveland. But we like Burrow on this show, so I'm kind of rooting for him in a sense, but I'm also rooting for OBJ. So I'm gonna go with the Rams to win this game in a close one.
So going back to Mr. Gonzalez, his comment about, coach did pick the 49ers. You might don't know this, and my guys will tell you. I wanted to pick the 49ers to beat y'all. I just can't stand Jimmy G so
Yeah,
much. I pre-game and in pre-production, I
I was
picked,
solo. I was
yeah,
solo
he
pregame.
was solo.
I was solo. Yeah,
I picked the 49ers, but my heart just didn't want me to pick Jimmy G over Dak. And I was willing to take a L
yeah.
with
You
that
switched
pick.
it up. You
I
switched
switched
that one
it
up.
up. So it was more like one of them home cooked picks that you knew. Yeah, I knew the 49ers could beat y'all. I believe the defense was enough to beat y'all.
Yeah,
But
but you didn't pick them.
but
But
I didn't. I did. I want you to know it was known how I felt and where I was going with that. So don't be trying to make coach pick gonna be
don't
all
pump
out
culture.
there.
Don't pump culture.
Don't be trying to
Nah.
pump him up all like that because he wasn't like
Mm,
on no solo train. And we all was on a Bengals train. We just only picked KC because we thinking they've been there before they got this under control. And I still live by that. But it's like one of those things where that was the first time we didn't want to not pick the Bengals. It's same as Derek just said. We don't want to not pick the Bengals, period. We don't want to not pick Joe. That's the
yeah,
reality.
Joe. It's
Because
Joe
we
and
believe,
DJ Reed on the defense.
we
Ex
been
Texas.
after
You know what
DJ.
I'm saying? DJ, I
That's
love
true.
DJ.
I tweeted him
So
about that too. But at the same time, that's just where we are with it. It still seems that if that front seven is controlling the game, that's pretty much the control. We know that Matthew can be knocked off his rocker a little bit and lost out of control. But if you go back to the Tampa game, it's still so funny for me when I think about that game. It wasn't Matthew that was getting them out of the game. It was everybody else.
mhm.
So he just kept a cooler head about the situation.
Yeah.
But our home team has had some interesting things change this week, with Lovey Smith being named head coach, and D Jones has really had some interesting takes and points that he kind of wanted to share, and I got to give him the floor on this because I'm interested to see where he going with it. I'm interested to see his thought process, and then we're gonna come back to the big game because I'm sure we can we're gonna tie back in some good things from Will. So Will, I'm about to let Derek talk to us about the home coaching, and then we'll get back to your big game love. So D Jones.
Man, so I appreciate you letting me get this out because this been festering on your boy, man. So it's like, and I told you Gransberry, and we all said it. It's not just me. We all said it. The rumors was out there that they was gonna hire Josh McCown, and that he was a favorite, or even him being a finalist for their head coaching job. And this guy hasn't had any NFL coaching experience. He coached his son high school football team 1 year after he retired or something like that. And there's well qualified candidates out there. Nothing against him, but as a Houstonian and a Texan fan from through and through from when they began, I was ready to hang it up. I had all of my gear. That's why I threw one of my favorite, the gray and pink hat on today, because I had everything. This hat included, ready to go to a men's shelter because I was really done. Last year what happened, it hit all of our fandom a lot. We traveled less this year. I gave up my season tickets and just decided I was going to do something else with that money. But I still was a fan. This was going to be it. And then, in the 11 o'clock hour, they hired Lovey as the head coach, who had been on the staff. Number one, Lovey should have been the head coach last year, instead of Cully, with his experience, unless he just didn't want that job. But I I thought it was going to be Flores. To me, it felt like it was going to be Flores. Like Flores was a Nick guy, but the I think in the end the lawsuit probably changed that direction. I've heard some other, theories as far as the lawsuit changing their direction for McCown, as far as like they couldn't go that route because of the lawsuit. But it could have been either way. Regardless, they got it right in the end by making Lovey the head coach. Whenever you have a organization in shambles, we kind of saw it. The Astros wasn't in shambles, but they had a PR issue going on. They brought in the vet Dusty Baker to come in and right the ship, get everything back on track, kind of calm people down. He's outperformed what they thought he was going to do by getting us back to the series, but we needed that cool hand, that cool head, and you can see that from the day one press conference that Lovey had. That everybody, even the local media, who I can't stand sometimes, were against his hire, immediately changed their tune and was like, okay, yeah, this is the guy. This is the right guy for the job. Um, I'm bullish on Pep Hamilton as OC. So I love that. That was one thing that was key to me. So I feel like as bad as it's been the last couple of years, this is the first time in probably 18 to 24 months that I was like, okay, now I see a glimpse of hope for a future. Um, I sure wish number 4 was still on our squad, and then we didn't have that drama hanging over us. But now it's time to move on, and move forward. But I like the Lovey hire. I think Lovey is going to be a cool hand, steady voice in the locker room, and that experience. You can tell already he's hiring his own staff. It wasn't like last year when Cully came here. He was just happy to be here, and they hired all his staff for him, and basically told him what he was going to do. So I'm excited about that. I want to see Lovey do well, and see this team turn around. And now we can see Nick as a GM and see what he's going to do to build this team. I feel like Nick made some good decisions last year as far as personnel goes. So now we'll have a full draft for him to do that. So I'm gonna keep my stuff, you know, at least for another season and see what goes on. But yeah, I think they avoided a real big, catastrophe type move, by not hiring Josh McCown and going with Lovey. So that's my thoughts on it.
Um, yeah, I was definitely, definitely, definitely on my way out had that happen. And I know for people saying about fan bases and you supposed to stick with your team,
Nah,
no, that's not really true. Because first of all, you born where you born. Other than your family may have helped you become a fan of a certain team just from the history or what y'all do as a family, that's one thing. But what I'm not going to do is scream, holler, and spend my money on a team that is putting out something that I just don't believe in. And I know for people who don't like the team, feel like that's been the case from the beginning. Well, it hasn't been, right? And I would say in the last decade that they were doing things to make them more of a winning organization. You don't really sometimes know what you get your hands on until you do, right? As they gave more control to O'Brien, things started to shift a little bit different. But, the year he got here, we did get back in the win column. Like, you get overshadowed by things that, the media makes the highlight. We're just this mediocre team in the AFC South that sometimes wins the AFC South. But when you start talking about firing coaches and you start talking about the reasons why you wanted, Brian Flores to still be in Miami, when you are winning, you usually don't get fired. It takes a while to get fired when you're winning. Not necessarily winning a championship, not necessarily winning the championship Sunday, but just winning. And unfortunately, whether people want to agree or not, that's what OB was doing. He was winning. So as he was winning, more power, right? They say which one is more problems, more money, more power, more power, more money. It all hands in hand together. And so last year, I think that it just got out of hand. I mean, what we were exposed to was we had all these great candidates, and then we kept making these 12-hour decisions, and we still seem to keep doing it. But at least we're putting ourselves back in a footprint of someone who's had the position before, who's familiar with what it takes, and is willing to do it. And I've heard people say, "Well, he didn't win in his other two starting positions. Neither did Bruce Arians." And and
He
and
was
no,
winning in Tampa Bay. Remember, they
yeah, but
cut it short because they wanted that OC.
well, but my point is, and
Yeah.
even after the OC, they brought in Bruce, and I'm saying nobody said he didn't belong in Tampa. When they hired Bruce, everybody was like, "Oh man, Bruce going to Tampa Bay," and there's nothing wrong with that. But my point is, he didn't win anything in Arizona. So Lovey got to the Super Bowl and he didn't win in Chicago. But now all of a sudden, then he's not capable of it because he didn't win when he was last in that role. And so Bruce Arians is the oldest winning Super Bowl coach. That tells you right there that ends that, right? So
Hmm.
I was a little just like people were talking about low hanging fruit or whatever. You're not a low hanging fruit when you've excelled and done this position several times and won. Like it just blows my mind. And then when you have to then fight off the narrative of like we were about to hire a high school coach. That's I don't care what you say, there was no other way. And I just wouldn't have been able to do it. He got a horrible deal in Tampa. And I don't know what I don't think the GM and ownership figured out what they were really trying to do. I don't think if like as
Well,
far
In Tampa, it was with the Jameis Winston and the OC that they wanted to keep the OC because he was developing Jameis, and he was going to go and get a head coaching position somewhere else. So they cut Lovey. That's crap. But
Okay, and guess what? We,
yeah,
we know that from in-house, right? They knew
yeah,
Vapor was getting looks. They made him DC coordinator,
yeah,
promoted Romeo. When they still couldn't stop the looks, what did they do? They didn't fire the head coach. They let him promote up. I mean, so
yeah.
whatever. Like I said, there's always the perfect excuse until it's our team that's doing it, and that's just how I see it. But I definitely was not thrilled with the high school coach being in the finals position and him playing in the league and maybe being a player's coach, whatever. And obviously I know I never played college ball, pro ball, or high school ball. But I can have an opinion and you can like it and you can not like it. I don't care. Because I
And it don't mean that he wouldn't have been good at it either. It's just that's not
the
what
optics
is
just
smart.
don't look great. I just we got enough going on. The optics would have been great. Why not
And
let
this
him
is
be
not the
coordinator?
environment. Put him on
Why
your staff. This,
I would have worked with that. I mean, I do
yeah.
know that some people fast track to that, and I could see that. I could see him a QB's coach. I could have seen all of that. But you're telling me that's who we were gonna put in our press conferences? I mean, we already had a rough time last year with the press conferences. I'm just trying to forget most of them.
Well, he could have been okay in there. I mean, evidently he can interview well with the Texans. He ain't interview with
I'm
nobody
sick,
else.
I'm,
But but
I'm sick of
but
that
my
whole narrative too.
but my whole thing is this: he could have been okay, but even if let's say I'm a McCown fan, right? This is not the environment to put a coach that's never done it before. You dig what I'm saying? You don't have the roster, you don't have the stability, and you're gonna throw him. Even if I like the dude, this is not the job for him. And as a fan, what you're telling me is winning don't matter. You're the smartest person in the room. It don't. Them tickets don't matter because they had a lot of empty seats in there last year. This is the first time we've seen the Texans advertise season tickets on TV because they've always advertised join the waiting list. It went from join this waiting list to hey, we got season tickets, come get these season tickets. And then my man say that he if he was Levy, he wouldn't touch Houston. He was in the building last year. He was the
Yeah, I was like,
DC.
y'all saying that
So
and he did a great job with limited talent and kept it together as much as possible. I mean, that's how
he
we found
knows.
ourselves in games with losing by less than one possession. We had a few blowouts, obviously. Nobody's discounting that. And they were top level teams that were doing it, but it's also how we stayed in the games that we were in. Jesus, you got to give me shorter messages. You took up the whole screen, but I'm gonna put you up there, man. I'm gonna put you up there, okay? um, yeah, I don't know if it's ever since that comment. I mean, we still have a few things that need to be um worked out. But
Nah, yeah, it wasn't a comment, bro.
it wasn't that comment. I wouldn't say
The
that. And
the problem was when they gave O'Brien the GM job. That's really when it happened. When they gave him the GM job and they brought Easterby in here and that was a shift in in the power. To be honest, if you're gonna say anything about Mr. McNair, about Bob, it happened when he passed. When he wasn't in control anymore, because he's a businessman. His son is just playing with daddy's toys. His son just want to be accepted by his friends and just out there, making crazy decisions. And oh, you want to do that? Yeah, you the smartest person because they are smarter than him, and they're able to dictate what happens. And then it's messing up the organization in that front, but you can't say that. I mean, even with Bill coaching, we won divisions. We won 11 games one year. We was we had hope. We was actually trying to get past the first round of the playoffs, and then in a year everything was gone. You know what I mean? And within 3 months, you had your quarterback wanting to leave. Then you had to, let's not even talk about the lawsuits, but you had your quarterback wanting to leave. You done decimated your whole team. You done messed up the coaching search, and then you bring in a coach that, yeah, press conference don't mean anything. I saw somebody say that, but when we saw Cully's press conference, we said this dude is just happy to be here. This is not a
right,
coach.
this is a dude that specifically said that on the mic, or
He's
he
just happy to be here.
or he would give examples of times basically he was reprimanded by his coaches or put in check by his coaches or whatever. It would always seem as if somebody else was leading his decisions and he let it, and he was excited about that because it was great people leading him. And he's supposed to be the leader when he's at that microphone. And that
Right.
wasn't displayed. You never cared that much about what Bill said because Bill probably just won when he got to the mic, and it wasn't really much you was gonna ask him anyway. And
Yeah.
when he did lose, he gave you a mouthful about why he lost, and he moved on. So,
Yeah.
I and we all know winning coaches get way more deference with a press conference, regardless of the sport. So you got Bill, you got Pop. There's just a certain way you're gonna come at a coach that has winning behind them.
Yeah.
Period.
Because ain't nothing you can say to him.
Right. So that's our take. We just want to make sure, there's a certain level of home cooking, as you would say, about your own team, but there's a certain level of you got to be honest and you got to have the discussion. And most people, really didn't know or think it was true, but we were really like, forget it. I just can't do it. Like it was messing with my stomach. Like I was like just constantly refreshing, because at the time I was afraid it was gonna come out while I was out of town because I was out of town last weekend too. And I was like, if they announce this while I'm out of town and it's not the right person, I just got to go back to the room and lay down for a second because it's like saying goodbye. And it may not be your thing, and you may not take it that important. And a lot of people feel like you should leave teams or you should stay with teams. I feel like you should do whatever you want to do, because
Yeah.
what you're not going to do is control what my money do. And that's why I said I went to the NFC Championship game because I can do that. I can do what I want to do, you know. Now at the same time, I'm gonna be honest about where I stand. Now Brandon asked earlier here in the comments asking where we going next year. They're supposed to be going to Vegas, but we'll see how that works. But Coach Truck, shout out to you, Coach. Had another question. He said, um, "I guess with Lovey having had two jobs already, and there are only 32 of them, he's playing with house money."
Maybe.
Okay, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I would say okay. But we've seen the head coach cycle train this season, even with Jags coach. So it's not like everybody is hiring a new head coach with a first shot. So I mean, it is what it is. Everybody's coming from a tree anyway at this point. So everybody.
I mean, the
So
two coaches in the Super Bowl. I mean, Cincinnati coach came from under McVay, right? So they're gonna be playing, doing the same systems this
right,
this
right.
weekend. So yeah, I knew he was
That's a
saying
fair
people
comment.
people
You're,
like us don't normally get that chance. Yeah,
you're
I knew
exactly
where
right.
he was coming from. Yeah,
Yes, it's true. But I think I don't think the Tampa Bay resume is even holding the weight in the professional setting that it would. Everybody saw that weak attempt in Tampa
Yeah, but
Bay.
he right. Coach is right.
But
Coach
he's
Struck
still
right. He right. I mean, he was 12th hour. Like we said, he was final hour higher. It's not like, you know, he was the top candidate. Um,
and this is
so
something
yeah,
most people
he's right.
don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut y'all. This is something most
No,
people
you
don't
good.
know unless you're actually a fan of the Texans. Now, you know, we as far as the app era, right? The app era of the Texans, they've hired, two coaches, right? Because we hired Bill and then Cully and then now Lovey. So totally three in this app era, like the team having a functional app. And there are a lot of things that go on. And last season, we never, ever, ever got an update on our app about an interview. And this off season, they updated us on the app. We not ESPN.
Head coach Tracker.
They created a tracker so we could
Hmm.
know who they were interviewing and what round they were interviewing them on and what we can learn about the coach. They put like a whole little profile together for you. So that tells you they knew they were losing the connection with the fan base. And like I told people who are outside of that circle of true fandom with the team, there was a certain arrogance about business. Business numbers were in such the black. It didn't matter what people were saying about the team. It was so far in the black. Okay. You didn't
They
have to
didn't care.
concern yourself with every fan's disgruntled opinion. Okay. You can
Yep.
shuffle it how you wanted it because even the fans that had you in the black will let you know some of that's okay. And when you live in a big city where companies can write checks for suites just to sit and talk to each other, it becomes difficult to listen to smaller fans. But when people don't even want to pay to sit in the suite to look at the product, you have to start doing something different. So we received so many alerts and updates, it was almost like comical. We were like, wait, we getting an update because somebody came and did an interview? Oh, since when? We've been here. We never get this. We gotta wait. We gotta wait for John McClain to send a tweet to know who came in the building. So that tells you there was some that we colored people, black people, minority people, we were not the only ones who noticed there was a huge disconnect with Cully at head coach. Because we, if I have said before, we have been a 2-14 team before and still had more optimism. We've been that before. And most people don't, study the numbers. I'm going to always remember the last 2-14 season because I went to all 16 games, never left any of them, there for every clock to hit zero. We were in over 6 to 7 of them in the last possession, not quarter, possession. That puts you in a competitive spirit. You knew people were out on the field fighting for that win. Players were getting into it post game because they wanted to win. There was a fight to win. There was, attention to detail. That's how I always know who really watched Texans games and who watches the ticker for pro games and small highlights, because you would know the nature of the team to know why people are in it or out of it. So we gonna give Lovey that window, you know, just like they gave a few others window. And I say we on this show, they gonna do what they do for the black and the red. That's what's always gonna matter for them. You in the black or you in the red. But I have never seen an ad that told me I can go to a game for $40 and get a hot dog for the Texans. Like ever.
Never. Never.
Never. Not even during the COVID season.
Never.
So anyway, as your stadium queen always says, it's time to move on to something else. And that something else would be the experience out here in LA. I'm going to go visit Radio Row tomorrow. Shout out to Bring the Pain Sports. They're out here all week. They've been grinding. You should keep up with them and see what's up. You stupid. He already got that same role elsewhere. But
Look good with Pep.
right. But I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on downtown and all around Crypto Center and the convention center. So make sure you follow me to see some of those good clips and fun upkeep kicks. And then, we'll see what the weekend brings um, with the
Is Will
game.
gonna join us next week? I don't know if he's still on.
He'll be able to join next week. But he is at the HBCU game too with Brandon and
Yeah,
um
I want to hear about the experience. I don't want to hear him. I don't want to talk to him right now. I know he probably, nervous. He got that nervous energy in him and everything. So I want to hear about the experience. So
Oh, coach, the weather is absolutely amazing. I intentionally put in my blonde braids for Callie because Callie got that
uh,
sun working. It is a perfect 80 degrees and a cool, nice 65 at night. And it's funny because the weather changed in 2 weeks. When I was here 2 weeks ago, it was much cooler, for LA, right? And so I noticed people have been talking about this is going to be the hottest Super Bowl. But here's a fun fact: I took the tour of the Ram Stadium, and on the tour, for those who are interested in that part of the tour, they teach you about the engineering of it and the design of the stadium. And their goal was they wanted an indoor outdoor stadium. They wanted the weather not to affect whether they play, but they wanted an outdoor feel. So in the end zones actually take you outside, meaning you see a stadium and it's closed in, but there are openings on both ends, and the roof is a roof that does not open. But their goal is to keep the stadium at around a 70-72 degrees. So even though people are like, oh, it's going to be hot, it's hot outside, the way they've designed it and for the circulation of the air, the stadium should still be in the 70s. So I can't wait to see how that actually plans out. But this weather is just absolutely amazing. Like, I'm addicted to LA anyway, and I'm a little biased, but it's definitely beautiful right now.
true.
Brandon, if you want to contribute to my escrow, please do so because we all know I have a LA issue. That is a fact. We definitely know I have a LA issue. So as it stands right now, B Pat is on his solo pick. He has picked Cincinnati. Derek and I are sticking with the Rams for this hometown super big game. And it's funny because the news is that the prices are dropping because it's at home, which is odd, right? You would think that they would load the stadium up. But I would say that what's his name? The great running back for the Rams, Eric. Eric made a
Fix.
comment and he stated that this is still a Raiders town and they have to win over the bigger base to have a bigger base here. And that is why the tickets aren't moving as fast. I can tell you as soon as, and I do mean as soon as KC lost that game, the ticket prices dropped on an average about 2,500 immediately. So that also might have played a little bit into it. Kind of like a gas station. That also might have played a little bit into the price point as well. And if it's at home, you kind of can just throw a house party, right? And there's so much to do in LA. What I will give a shout out about some other fun things is I really love the DJs at the West Coast games. And I say West Coast because I went to the new Vegas stadium too, and they have a pretty good DJ. But the DJ here, I went to a Rams game and a Chargers game. So I done seen three DJs out on the West Coast recently. And I will say, even back in the day when we went to Seattle, I had a great time with Seattle's DJ. So the vibe is good. It's like they really are vibing with the theme of the game and what's going on with the score. And I think it was super fun because both teams were California teams. So they played tons of California music from Ice Cube, Hotel California, like everything you could think of. So I just think that kind of gets your fans going too. Um, oh, you divided. It's a tough time to be divided. Like you want Stafford to get it. He sat in Detroit just a little too long. And
He was
when
loyal. He was loyal.
he was loyal, but
No fault.
when the trade happened, I was overjoyed, and I've always had the two G's down at the bottom, golf and Garoppolo. Everybody knows how I feel and what I feel about them. And I believe that both have been to the big game and been and led there by everybody else on their team as opposed to on the backs of the quarterback. So, and I do believe the Rams are here on the back of Cup, sorry. And but
Mhm.
man, look, that NFC championship, he made every catch that they needed. That don't take away from nobody else's catches. So
I,
let's be
I'm like,
clear.
it was another receiver that was
No,
over
no,
100
no,
too,
no, let's be clear.
and the
I ain't
receiver can't. A receiver can't throw themselves the ball. So
no, 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 no.
I'm
I
just
know that.
I'm just
But
saying it was I'm
I'm
saying
only
it was a
talking
team
about
effort.
hands. Yeah, I'm only
I'm
talking
with you.
about hands. When you
I
when you when you
I
need that
know.
drive and you need them hands to connect every single time.
I know you. I know you. I'm just saying on his back, probably a little bit.
Okay,
You
okay.
know, not on
Well,
his back, but
the
I'm with
numbers
you.
the numbers say he's so separated. It's kind of like how but it's a little
And for the
different.
season, yeah,
Yeah, it's a little
I'm
different
with
too when you would say from a running back, right? Because the running back he really had to do it, but then he could say, okay, but the line blocked. So you're right. It's
you.
it's
Yeah,
still
it's a
11
team game.
people on the field. It's a
Ultimate team sport.
right. So with that in mind, I hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll be back uh, next week to talk about who's our ultimate champion. Hear about Will's experience. I can't wait. I kind of dropped him a few tips of things I would do based on what I've done in other cities. And hopefully, it's an exciting time when your team is on everything. I think that makes a big difference too. And so, as always, we're going to have D Jones tell you guys where you can find him at. D Jones, let the people know where they can respond to you about your take on the new coaching situation.
I'm on Instagram at djones9804 and on Twitter, that boy D Jones. And shout out Dre tonight. We find out if he's gonna get in the Hall of Fame. Shout out to Dre,
They watching it
Houston
right
great
now.
legend.
So, Team
Yeah.
80, Team 80. We should be knowing real soon. They might already know now. Well,
Nah, I
we don't
think
have
it's
no luck
in
yet.
like the 9 or 10 o'clock hour from the schedule that I saw. So, but we'll know
Okay.
tonight. We'll know
Okay.
tonight.
Okay. Well, look, I'm gonna try to make the best of this last football season trip of the season. And you always know you can find me at the Gransberry. Keep it simple: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And we love you guys. We'll see you next week. I'm getting teary eyed. Oh, it's always hard for me to lose my boyfriend every year.
Oh Lord,
Oh, okay. I won't spare. I'll spare y'all of my heartbreak.
hit the outro. Hit the outro.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go
We
and hit
out.
the outro because like we out of here. We can't take this no more. Girl, find you something else to do. Peace.